You're listening to the Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show with your host, Coach Tim Campsall, where we talk with successful business owners to hear the stories of their journeys in building their successful businesses. And more importantly, we recognize the folks who help them excel because we know that achieving business success is not something we can do on our own.
Let's rock and roll here. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest is an extreme baseball fan, and we'll have him share a little bit more about that here in a minute. In his downtime, he buys, manages, and renovates real estate properties. And he's most proud of being in business for 25 years, which is quite an accomplishment, as along with the work that they've created and how that work has contributed to Central Indiana. It's my pleasure to welcome Jarrett to the show today. Hello, Jarrett.
How you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for asking. So, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit of your personal story, like where you were born and live, and about your family, and tell us about that baseball passion.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, my name is Jarrett Hagy, and I'm the owner of Lodge Design here in Irvington, which is just east of downtown Indianapolis, for those that don't know the area. And we've been here for 25 years, so that is quite a feat. Time does fly. It doesn't seem like that. I'm originally from the Modoc area, which is eastern Indiana, about 10 minutes west of the Indiana-Ohio line. So quintessential rural Indiana.
So is that in the other time zone?
No, it's still Eastern, but
right.
it seems like it could be. You seem like you're worlds away from everything. There, grew up there, went to Ball State, and got a degree in fine art. So after college, I started working as a graphic designer, and kind of was unsure whether I was wanted to be an illustrator or a graphic designer. Two different paths, similar but different. And so I did a little bit of both. I illustrated a lot, and then I started freelancing for a lot of the agencies here in Indianapolis. And I did that for a few years, thinking that I would freelance and I would go to work for whoever, A, either offered me a job, or B, I found that I really liked. And, thankfully, I think most of them, offered me a job at some point in time. But I just enjoyed, being on my own. I enjoyed the freedom. There were always little things, I thought, well, I would do this different, or, I don't really care for those policies. So eventually I just kept working on my own, freelancing, and then due to some good circumstances, I started to get busier and busier, and took on a couple of business partners, and we started Lodge.
Yeah, so. Fantastic. Awesome. So tell us about your family and a little bit more about that baseball passion you have.
Yeah, so I've got 2 kids, one granddaughter. She's 2.5, so that's a lot of fun. My parents still live out in eastern Indiana, in Hagerstown, and so family is important and takes up a lot of your life, as it should. Doing a lot of babysitting, and it's not really babysitting now. It's more like playing. She comes over to play versus me babysitting now. So that is fun. I've got an English bulldog. I've had English bulldogs for about 15 years now. Okay. So I love those. And then baseball. Yeah, baseball has always been a huge part of my life. I grew up playing. and collecting baseball, memorabilia, cards, like most kids do. I just didn't stop. I stopped for a while. You always have that period of your life, college and get married, have kids, and then eventually I can't even remember when it was, but I at some point in time I bought more stuff, and I thought, oh wow, where was this at? So I kept buying. So,
Jarrett, is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Honestly, I don't know what that would be. pretty boring, I think, in that regard. Nothing crazy. I don't think ever really happened. Yeah, I tried on that one, and I just can't.
No worries. So, tell us. You explained a little bit about how the business came about, but give us some more details. At what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business and make that jump?
I'd been freelancing for, as I said, about 4 years, and so that basically just means you work for yourself. And so I had to do my own billing. I had to do estimates. I was comfortable doing all of that, and so I was really able to work into it. It's not like I started a company and had to hire 100 employees all of a sudden. At the time, I started to get work from the Finish Line, which was headquartered here in Indianapolis and had stores, all over the country. I think when we started working with them, they were, I want to say, around 250 to 300 stores, and I think when we finished, they were, up around 700 or 800. But that just provided just a wealth of opportunity and work at the time. So a couple friends of mine and guys that I had worked with before, they were working for another agency that I had done some freelance work for, and I kind of coerced them into coming over and working with me. And from that, we were able, when you've got a pile of work sitting there, then there was no choices to be made. It was just, hey, let's do this. And so we, after many all-nighters and weekends and things like that, we just took the plunge and started. And really, that was, like I said, it was a fairly easy way to start a business, because I'd already been doing it. It was no different. It was just maybe times 10. Just more work. And yeah, a lot of that with business, I think you figure it out as you go. I knew early on, I needed an accountant and I needed an attorney, and get those important professionals. And so we've always had that. I've always farmed out payroll and things like that, because I'm not really all that interested in the day-to-day business stuff. Although I will say, over the years, I've become to like it more. I think I enjoy it more now. Now, 25 years ago, all I wanted to do was, create, design, draw. So I'm much more adept at it now than I was. But back then, it was like, how can I get other people to do the bookkeeping and things like that? And fortunately, there's other people to do that, and that's what they do, and they love it, and they're great at it. So my advice is, let those people do that.
You're right.
you do what you're good at.
So tell us a little bit more about the company. Tell the name again, what you guys do, how you help people.
Yeah, so Lodge Design, LODGE, and we started in the Irvington Old Masonic Lodge building, and that factored in, but it wasn't the sole meaning of the name. We liked the idea that lodge was an action. It meant we could lodge ideas into people's heads.
Wow, yeah.
This business is really about selling things. You're always selling something. You're always selling yourself, a product, a company, an organization, an activity. And so that's what we did, tennis shoes, whatever it was, we were selling it to somebody. So, we liked Lodge. I just, when we started, we said, we have to have a name. I was very big on a name. I did not want, our name. I didn't want to sound like a law firm. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but we didn't want to put our names on the door. Mm-hmm. And so, it was, there was going to be a name. We had to have one. So Lodge was it.
Fantastic. And more specifically, how do you help people? What is it that you do to make a difference for others?
So we're a marketing company, which, I would say really we're more of a design firm. We design logos and posters and billboards and websites. Really any part of the creative process is what we do. Now with that comes advertising, like I said, marketing, social media. There's a lot of different angles. Really the only thing we don't do is PR. We're not we don't do public relations at all. But we work with other people that do that when it's needed for our clients. But mostly we're writing things, we're designing things. We're coming up with what you see, on TV, hear on the radio, see on the billboard, things like that.
Fantastic. So for everyone listening, make sure to check out Lodge Design in the link in the description, and comment on their LinkedIn profile. Let Jarrett know that you watched his interview.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jarrett, share a story of where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, even though maybe you didn't think that you could, and the impact that person had on you.
So I think, for me, it was my father. He was a factory worker, and I always knew that wasn't what he set out in life to be. But it's where he ended up and what he did, and he just always told me, hey, you don't want to work in a factory. Trust me. You want to go do what you want to do. And I think, by that, he definitely didn't mean that there was anything wrong with working in a factory, but that he knew that wasn't his passion. And he knew that if I didn't do my passion, I wouldn't be happy either. And so, he just always said, do whatever you want to do, do what makes you happy, do what you have a passion for. And so, like I said early on, drawing and painting was that passion for me, art. And so I really never, people always say, well, when did you know what you wanted to do? And it's like, I just always assumed this is what I do because that's always what I did. So yeah, I just kept going down that path. And I knew that if I really loved it and enjoyed it, then, if that's what you do as your profession, as your job, well, you must be doing something right. So that was always my path. So I think that's all I needed. I mean, the business stuff, like I said, just it comes and you get help where you need it, and you figure out the rest. There's always little things. Even now, there's things. I mean, I don't fully understand everything that goes with taxes and all that, but as long as you have someone you can call and ask, then it all works out.
I really like your dad's advice because, especially in owning a business, right, like you just alluded to, there's lots of stuff that can be complicated or confusing, and we do need to rely on the experts. But if we have a passion for what we're doing, then that's going to carry us through the challenges and the ups and downs of the business. So that's awesome that your dad planted that seed in your mind early on.
Yeah, I think it's important, and not everybody gets to do it, and I fully understand that. And I know I'm blessed to be able to, and so I've always been grateful for that, and always grateful for that advice, and to that I could. I knew early on I could do whatever I set out to do and wanted to do.
Jarrett, what's the biggest learning that you've had as a business owner?
I think having employees, it's probably one of the best parts of owning a business. I mean, you really do feel responsible for people, and I enjoy that. But at the same time, it can be a difficult part, managing, personalities and just different people that come together, and we have a like goal. We're always one of the nice things about this business is we're always working on something different. So it's never the same. You're working on different campaigns for different clients, different organizations. Yeah, makes it a ton of fun. But with that, you are dealing with people that have different ideas, and I mean that's our business, to have ideas. But you got to wrangle those ideas and bring them together, and that can be challenging sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but we're very fortunate. We've got a great group. I mean, and everybody that's here has been here for quite a few years, and so we've got an established group that is really like an all-star team. So very good.
I can imagine that to be good at what you do, you have to fully believe in your ideas. So then if you've got different people on the team with different ideas that they believe in, it can be a process to get to what's the one or two that we're going to pitch to the client.
Oh yeah. Because really there's never just one idea. There's never one right answer. And I always say, but you just need one. We don't need 30. Right. We just need one. And so getting to that is the challenge sometimes, but it's also the fun part. But it is fun. The variety is really what makes this business interesting.
That's awesome. So, Jarrett, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. So tell us one of your biggest challenges during the years, and maybe a fellow business owner who helped you to navigate through that.
Well, I think there's a couple people. I mean, one, my business partner, Jason Roemer, we've been together now for 25 years. And so, that's when people say, partners, it's like a marriage. I mean, it's just like that. You're with that person a lot, and you've really got to be on the same page and in the same direction. And I think that's really made this doable by having someone that's like-minded and has the same goals as you, and but also has a different skill set. I mean, he's a writer, I'm a designer, so we bring different things to the table, and sure. That really makes it work well. Early on, like I said, I worked for a lot of different people in Indianapolis, and there's too many names to mention, but there was just so many great companies, Young and Larimore, Miller Brooks, Dean Johnson, Scott Johnson was a big influence. Just seeing these people who were doing exactly what I wanted to do, and kind of getting a roadmap for how to do that was, really valuable to be around those people and to get a chance to see that. And I picked up things from a lot of people, and it really helped, in those early years, especially.
Yeah. Is there a challenge that comes to mind that you had to face where one of those people helped you to think through that or work through that? Anything that comes to mind that listeners would appreciate hearing, that, hey, we have that challenge too?
I mean, I can't think of anything specific, but I know sometimes when I did have, when there were maybe employee or staffing issues, I would call Scott Johnson because he had run a design firm for 15 years before me, and he had lots more employees, and he was always a really great sounding board, because I could say, hey, here's my issue, and he would come up with, oh yeah, I've had that, many times over. And so it always helped to just hear. It's like anything in life, you'd like to know that there's other people that have had that problem, solved it, what they did, and there's never just one answer, but it's always good to get get someone else's viewpoint, and so I think that's good in probably business or life. Everybody needs that sounding board from someone.
Absolutely. I've heard in the past that people might be reluctant to reach out to others in their industry and do exactly what you just shared. So have you ever, what advice would you have for people who are like, hey, I don't know, I don't want to bother somebody else, they're busy too?
I didn't mention this, but when I didn't know, when I was trying to decide whether to be an illustrator or a designer, I didn't really know any better. So I just started reaching out to illustrators that were, some of them were really well known. I remember driving to Cincinnati to meet with an illustrator, Chris Payne. And he was just like, yeah, come down. We'll sit in the studio. And, because I didn't really know, college, school teaches you a lot, but boy, it leaves out about 90% of what you need in life. And so I didn't know what it took to be an illustrator. I didn't know what the process was. There were so many things. And so there were a lot of people that sat down with me on multiple occasions. Rob Day here in Indianapolis, really well-known illustrator. We met, lots of times and got to be, pretty good friends. And I found out that if you just ask people, they're more than willing to answer questions and to talk with you. And, it's a great way to, otherwise you're really just stumbling through the dark and,
Right.
and finding your way, which is okay. But it's great to talk to people who have done it, lived it, get to see that, experience firsthand. So yeah, I would say, and I've had lots of people, and that's why I try when people reach out, and, it's tough with schedules and just the daily grind of work and business. But, it's great to talk with, younger designers or people that really, and I think the big thing is just, be prepared with what it is you're trying to find out. I mean, if you're gonna bother someone, then have a direct line of questioning and have a real purpose for what you're trying to get. And I think most people are more than happy to share those things. I mean, that's really why we're here is to try to share and give some of that experience, onto somebody else that's trying to do the same thing, similar things.
Well, and it's like what you just shared of somebody did it for you. So it's almost like, we have an obligation to pay it forward because somebody paid it forward to us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Jarrett, you mentioned a number of people. I'm going to put you on the spot here. If I asked you to pick 3 folks who were most impactful in helping you in your business owner journey, that you're most grateful for them being there, who are those 3 people and how they help you?
Well, I think, as I said, my father first of all, and I didn't mention, but he did own his own business for a while. It was small engine repair. I got to see that at a young age. He did it on the side. So, it was an evenings, weekend thing. That's where I get my work ethic. I mean, I've never known a person that worked harder in his life. So I had that. And then, Scott Johnson was a business owner and a designer, really laid a lot of groundwork for me. I really got to see, what that was like, by somebody that was doing it and had done it at a really high level. So that was good. And then Jason, my business partner, just being there every day and being in this, I think has been a huge help, because you never have to feel like you're on your own.
Yeah.
You've always got some backup, and there's times when things aren't going so well that you really need
Right?
you really need backup. So,
Yes.
so that's good to have.
As you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what's the biggest challenge that you see that you're going to face in reaching your goals, and who are the types of people that you're going to need to help solve those?
Oh, those are great questions. This business, it's changed a lot over 25 years. I think it will continue to change. So I think, staying up with that, the way social media and the digital side of it has changed. AI, of course, coming in. I mean, there's things we really can't foresee, what the next 2, 3, 5 years are going to be like in regards to that. So I think that's interesting. And really, because we can't foresee that, or at least I can't. I don't know who we're going to need help from for that. So that's sort of a big question mark. I think for us, it's really just it's finding the work type of work that we want, that we are good at. Matching those things up, with companies and organizations that need our services, that we know that we're a good fit for. Finding those things, I think, is the tough part. I mean, we've got the business down. I mean, there's the creative part is what we do, and there's really no problems with that. Now, say if we got busier or a lot busier, then maybe staffing, would be an issue. It's not easy to hire people, especially in our industry, because you're always hiring for a specific skill set or set of skills, and so finding the best person for that is sometimes can be tough. I think that finding work and finding good employees, I think, are two of the challenges moving forward.
So you mentioned finding work. So what does that look like in your industry? How do you find new opportunities?
Well, we've always been a word of mouth company, so we don't have. There's no salespeople. There's nobody knocking on doors, for us, and so it's relationships and people we've worked with before, and passing our name along, and the emails come, the phone rings. You go to a meeting and find out about a new potential project or company starting up, and that's how we've always gotten our work, and that can be great, or it can be a bit daunting sometimes when the funnel's not filled.
Right. Yes.
But it probably goes back to we enjoy the creative part. So the going out and the hunting and knocking on doors isn't really what we like to do. So probably why we don't do it.
Right, fair enough. And you mentioned continuing to find the right people. So one of the things you mentioned earlier, that you've had folks who've stayed with you for a long time, so that I would suspect that means that you've created a certain type of culture that everybody feels a part of. Just wonder if you have any thoughts on sharing about that.
Well, and that's one of the things I picked up early, working at a lot of other agencies, is just that company culture, that environment, being a designer or a writer or in the creative field, it's a 24-hour-a-day thing. I mean, you don't really turn it off at 5 o'clock. And so, that company culture, I think, becomes really important, because it's not an assembly line. You don't just clock in, clock out. You're always doing it. So, giving people the environment and the tools to be creative, be comfortable. There can be a lot of stress in trying to develop ideas and campaigns and things for people and companies and deadlines. And so you want to try to create the most comfortable, I think, environment and setting you can, so that doesn't provide any stress. And
Yes.
that's one thing we've been able to do, I think.
Yeah. I worked on the other side. So I was in consumer product goods for a number of years. So I can appreciate, because, we as the client would say, all right, we need the next big idea by Friday, please.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No problem.
So
I've got
can you
this
guys
afternoon.
just do your magic and come up with
Yep.
a good idea and be ready to present it on Friday?
Yeah. And it's the crazy thing, because sometimes ideas, that might take 10 minutes, or it might take, 2 weeks, and you really don't know. You just dig in and start, and along the way you kind of figure out where you're at. But it is a process, and things come quickly, and sometimes they don't. That's the fun of it.
Right. Last question here, Jarrett. Jim Rohn, awesome business guru, says that we become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So as you think about that quote, what advice would you have for business owners who are trying to do it on their own?
I think just not being afraid to ask for help, seeking out those people and partners for information that you really need. I think most people have a sense of what they're good at, and leaning on those strengths, but finding help in the areas that you're not. It's we can try to do it all, but at the end of the day, that's extremely hard, and not always with the best results. So I think just seeking help and getting help in areas where you need it.
Yeah, fantastic. Just wrapping up here, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people on your business owner journey. If they were all on the show here today, what would you want to say to them?
Oh, just that I appreciate their involvement. Gotten to work with a lot of great people, through Lodge. But you, like you said, you were on the client side. I mean, our clients become really close. I mean, they're people we work with every day too. And so they become like fellow staff members as well. And I think that's one of the things we always try to I guess impress upon new clients or people we're talking to, is that we become like an extension of your company. Our goals, become your goals. What you want to achieve, we're gonna work towards those solutions. And those relationships are awesome too. I mean, I think I mentioned, we're always trying to find new work, but you do want to work with people that are also like-minded, and you have similar goals, and they understand what we're doing, and we understand what they're doing, and that becomes really important, because the people you work with, just they make your life what it is. I mean, we spend so much time doing this that why do it if it's a struggle?
Right. Yeah. Amen to that. Is no fun going to work and hanging out with people you don't like, right?
Nope. No, spend your time around people you enjoy.
Yeah. Jarrett, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time, and appreciate you doing this. I think people get a lot from things like this.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsall. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward, and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.